When my father told me I was a failure and kicked me out of the family home, I was devastated. But his words only strengthened my resolve. "You'll regret this," I said as I left. What he didn't know was that I was building a future so bright that it would leave him in the dust, and he'd have no choice but to beg for my forgiveness. I was 23 when my father looked me in the eye and called me a failure. Not during a drunken rage. Not in the middle of a heated fight. He said it calm, like he'd thought about it for a while and finally decided to cut the cord. "You're a failure, and I'm done carrying you." That's what he said. It was a Tuesday afternoon. May in Phoenix is hot and dry, and everything outside that day felt scorched. I had just gotten back from dropping off a couple Uber Eats orders. I was trying to scrape together enough money to help my mom with groceries. She never asked, but I knew things were tight. I had a degree in computer science from Arizona State. But degrees don't guarantee jobs, and 2020 had wrecked most hiring pipelines. I was still getting rejection emails every other day, and the ones that weren't flat-out rejections were either unpaid internships or jobs that paid less than what I made delivering burgers. Still, I was trying. I was applying like crazy. I coded at night. I kept my resume sharp. I did what I could to be useful around the house. Replaced the garbage disposal, fixed the back fence, even took care of my dad's tax software when he couldn't figure it out. But none of that mattered to him. To him, I was just in the way. "You sleep all day and drive food around like some dropout," he said that day. "I didn't bust my ass for 30 years for you to sit on your ass in my house." I stood there, sweaty from deliveries, holding a drink I'd brought back for him. He didn't take it. "I'm tired of this." "You need to grow the hell up," he said. "I'm done paying for a man who refuses to be one." I didn't even respond at first. I just blinked. I thought maybe it was a bad day, maybe something set him off at work. But he wasn't yelling, he was focused. Intentional. Like he'd waited for the right time to say it. Then he leaned in and said, "You've always been weak. I see it now. You're soft. That's why you never made it. That's why I can't respect you." That broke me. Not the words, but the way he said them. Cold. Clean. Like he was cutting dead weight. "You have 2 hours," he said. "Take your shit and go." I packed what I could. 2 duffel bags. My laptop, some clothes, a folder with my birth certificate and degree. That's it. My mom cried quietly in the hallway. She didn't try to stop him. She never did. I walked out the front door, turned around, and said, "You'll regret this." He scoffed. I drove off in my 2009 Toyota Corolla with 197,000 miles and $42 in my checking account. No plan. No place to go. I parked behind a 24-hour gym and slept in the back seat. The next 2 months were a kind of hell I don't wish on anybody. Phoenix nights in the summer don't cool off. I'd leave the windows cracked, but the air was like a hairdryer. I kept a towel on my seat because it burned my skin in the mornings. I woke up with sweat dripping off my neck and my joints locked up from the cramped space. I brushed my teeth in the gas station restroom and used a gym membership I couldn't afford to shower once a day. I kept a bottle of Febreze in the trunk for my clothes. I kept delivering food. I avoided my old friends. I stopped calling home. I got a call back for a remote coding gig that paid hourly, but they ghosted me after the first round. Another company led me through 3 rounds of interviews, then said I wasn't the right cultural fit. But I didn't give up. I read every damn article on job boards. I watched YouTube videos on sharpening interview skills. I built 3 sample projects and put them on GitHub. And finally, in late July, a company based in Denver offered me a contract position with the possibility of full-time work. I didn't even think twice. They covered part of my relocation. I found a studio apartment the size of a walk-in closet. It had black mold in the corner, and the heat barely worked, but I had a roof, a key, a bed. And from there, I worked. I didn't go out. I didn't waste time. Every spare hour went into building my portfolio, cleaning up code, pitching ideas. I built a small tool for tracking crypto tax liability, just as a side project. Posted it online. A mid-tier finance YouTuber found it and used it in a video. Traffic exploded. Suddenly, I had PayPal donations, emails from developers, and job offers I never expected. I sold a premium version of the tool, started a tiny LLC. I had cash for the first time in years. By 26, I had saved over $150,000. I bought a condo outside Aurora and turned it into a rental. Then another. Then another. I lived lean, still drove the same Corolla, but my bank account grew. My life grew. But through all of it, my father never reached out. Not once. Then my sister got engaged. She begged me to come home for the dinner.
Said Dad had changed.
That he missed me but didn't know how to say it. I didn't want to go. I almost said no. But something in me wanted to see him. I wanted him to see me. Not as a boy with a duffel bag, but as a man who made it without him. I wore a charcoal suit, custom fitted. Drove a rental instead of my Corolla. The dinner was at a nice Italian place in Scottsdale. I walked in and saw him at the table. Gray hair, tired eyes, posture not quite as straight as I remembered. He looked up and froze. His mouth opened just a little. No words. Just shock. He hadn't seen me in 4 years. I didn't hug him. I didn't smile. I shook hands with my sister's fiancé, said hello to my mom, then looked at my dad and said, "I'm doing well. Really well." He nodded. That was it. We barely spoke the entire night. But I saw something in his eyes he never gave me before. Doubt. Doubt that he was right about me. Doubt that maybe he threw away the wrong son. I left after dessert. He called out my name as I walked away, but I didn't stop. Because that night wasn't the end. That night was just the beginning. After the dinner, I didn't expect anything.
No epalegi.
No calls. I thought maybe I'd finally put that chapter behind me. But 3 weeks later, he reached out.
It was an email. Short. Cold.
Subject: let's talk body. I heard you're doing well. I think it's time we sit down like men. Coffee?
No sorry.
No mention of what he said to me. Just a casual attempt to act like none of it ever happened. I left it on read. A week later, he tried again. This time he called. When I picked up, he said, "I've been thinking a lot about things. I might have been too harsh." Too harsh? That was his way of admitting he threw me out like garbage? I stayed quiet. Let him talk. "I just didn't want to see you waste your life," he said. "I was trying to push you. You called me weak," I said. Said I was a failure. "You didn't push me, you kicked me down." He went silent. Then said, "Well, it worked, didn't it?" I hung up. That was the moment I knew he hadn't changed. He was just embarrassed. His pride got bruised, and now he was looking for a way to get close again, without having to admit what he did. A month later, my mom called. She said he was having some health issues, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, stress. He had lost a lot of money on a bad investment and was struggling with mortgage payments. I didn't say anything. She kept talking. "He's not the same man. He's humbled. He asks about you." "I'm not interested in being his insurance plan," I said. That's when it all started getting worse. My father began telling extended family that he had reconnected with me. Said I was helping him turn his finances around. That we were on better terms. None of it was true. He was building a narrative, one where he didn't look like the villain. Where he could still play the role of proud father without ever having to acknowledge what he did. At my cousin's wedding, I found out he'd told everyone he'd guided me during my hard years. That his tough love made me the man I am. I nearly walked out of the reception. Then my uncle cornered me near the bar and said, "You should forgive him. He's proud of you, you know. He talks about your company all the time." That was the final straw. My company had just been profiled in a local Denver tech magazine. I never told anyone in my family about the interview. I knew he didn't subscribe to that paper. Someone must have sent it to him. Now he was using my story like it belonged to him. The man who left me in a car in the middle of a Phoenix summer now wanted to share my spotlight. So I made a decision. If he wanted to tell the world he was proud, I was going to show the world exactly what kind of father he really was. I started writing. Not a blog. Not social media posts. Just a long, detailed personal essay. About what it's like to be told you're a failure. About being homeless, broke, and abandoned by your own family. About surviving not because of your father, but in spite of him. I posted it anonymously on Reddit, r/TrueOffMyChest. It blew up. Tens of thousands of upvotes. Hundreds of comments. People sharing their own stories, telling me how much it resonated. What I didn't expect was that a local Phoenix news outlet picked it up. They did a piece on how young professionals are finding their own path without parental support. They didn't name me, but they quoted parts of the post. And somehow he found it. He called me 2 days later. Angry. "You trying to ruin my reputation?" he said. "People at the golf club are asking me if I kicked my son out." "You did," I said. "Why lie about it?" "You don't understand," he snapped. "I was under pressure. I didn't mean all that crap. You're not weak." I waited. Then he said, "You're just different." I didn't know how to deal with it. That was the closest thing to an apology I ever got. But it wasn't enough. Because now he wasn't just lying to me. He was lying to everyone. A few weeks after that phone call, I got a message from my cousin Vanessa. "Hey, I know things are messy with your dad," she wrote, "but you should see this." She sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post from a private community group in Phoenix. It was a GoFundMe link. Title: "Help John Rebuild After Business Loss." I clicked. There was my father's name. His face. A long post written by my mother, talking about how John's business partner stole from him, how they were months behind on the mortgage, and how, quote, "Our son is doing his best, but he's busy with his startup and can't help." They were using my success as a prop again. This time to explain why I wasn't stepping in to rescue them. It was all a lie. My father never had a business partner. The investment loss? That was from buying into a shady crypto MLM 2 years ago. He ignored everyone's warnings. Now he was rewriting history. The fundraiser had already raised over $12,000. $12,000 from church friends, neighbors, extended family, people who had no idea the man they were helping had kicked his own son onto the street 5 years earlier. I was sick, but it got worse. A few nights later, I got a call from a man named Jordan. We'd gone to high school together, weren't close, but he followed me on LinkedIn. He ran a small Phoenix web design firm. "Hey man," he said. "Quick question. Your dad reached out asking if you could consult on a project with us. Said you were open to side work. Just wanted to check if that's true." I almost dropped my phone. My father was now using my name to get business contacts. He was pitching himself as my business liaison, acting like we were working together. That's when I realized he wasn't just lying to save face. He was trying to profit off me. I confronted my mom. She didn't deny it. "I didn't think you'd find out," she said quietly over the phone. "You lied to people about me."
"He's desperate," she said.
"We both are. You don't understand what it's like here." "I do understand," I said. "I was homeless, and you let him throw me out." Her silence said everything. Then she said something I'll never forget. "He's your father." I hung up. The next week, I flew to Phoenix without telling anyone. Drove straight to their house. Parked down the street. I watched the front door for 20 minutes before I knocked. My father opened it. He looked stunned. "What are you?" I pushed past him and walked in. The house looked the same. Faded carpet. Fake plants. The same framed family photos. Except none of me after 2018. "You're going to take the fundraiser down," I said. "And you're going to refund the money."
He scoffed.
"You can't tell me what to do." "I can. Because I've already spoken to 2 of the donors." I told them the truth. Showed them texts, the eviction records, everything. "If I have to, I'll report it as fraud."
His face changed.
I pulled out a folder. Inside were screenshots, emails,
Posts.
a breakdown of every lie he'd told, each one documented. I dropped it on the kitchen counter. "You're done pretending we're family," I said. "You used me for sympathy, for clout, for money. That ends now." He stood there shaking. "Is this revenge?" he whispered. "No," I said. "Not yet." After I left that day, I didn't speak to him again. But I didn't walk away, either. Because the thing about men like my father, They don't feel shame until it costs them something real. Their money, their reputation, their sense of control. So I hit all three. First, the GoFundMe. I sent a formal complaint to the platform with attached documentation, messages, photos of the eviction notice from when I was kicked out, a notarized statement from a former neighbor confirming I had been forced to leave. I flagged the fraudulent claims, especially the line about me being unable to help due to business commitments. 3 days later, the fundraiser was removed. Every donor was notified. The fallout started immediately. My mom texted me, "What did you do?" People are furious. We're being called scammers. I didn't respond. I was just getting started. Second, the golf club. It wasn't some exclusive elite place, just a mid-level country club with a decent network of retired professionals and small business owners. But my father bragged about it constantly. It was his stage, his source of pride. I emailed the club manager directly. I told him I was reaching out as the actual founder of the business my father had been claiming to represent. I explained, calmly, professionally, that he had misrepresented himself, approached contacts under false pretenses, and misused my name and reputation. The manager replied within 2 hours. He thanked me, said this wasn't the first complaint about my father using connections to hustle private loans and side deals. They'd already been watching him. A week later, I got word through my cousin. He was suspended from the club. Eventually, they didn't renew his membership. Another mask off. But the real revenge? That came when I finally told my story.
Under my real name.
I'd built enough credibility by then. My crypto tool had been acquired. I was guest speaking at tech meetups. So, I published a full piece in Medium, a long-form version of the anonymous Reddit post. I called it, "When Your Rock Bottom is a family member." I didn't name him outright, but anyone from my past knew exactly who I was talking about. It went viral again. Not rage viral. Respect viral. People shared it.
Connected to it.
Business leaders reached out. Young developers thanked me. I got messages from people I hadn't talked to in 10 years. And you know what? That silence from my father? It lasted exactly 11 days. Then I got an email. Subject: "Please body, you made your point. I'm asking, man to man, can we fix this? I'm drowning here. Please." I didn't reply. Not because I hated him, but because I finally understood what he had never taught me, that respect isn't owed. It's earned. He tried to break me because he couldn't control me. He kicked me out because I didn't become the version of a man he recognized. And in the end, the only failure was his to see who I really was. So no, I didn't forgive him. I didn't help him. I let him sit in the dust, exactly where he left me 5 years earlier.